Welcome to On the Line. I'm Jenny Robb with USTA Alabama, and I am so excited to be here today with the national championship University of Alabama wheelchair tennis team. And we have our head coach, Evan Enquist, and coach Shelby Barron also with us. And Shelby is also a former player on the team. So we're just really excited to have you all with us. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for having us on.
And so, Evan, first things first, you guys are coming off of a big win. You recently were down at the national campus in Orlando, I believe. And is this the 5th national championship? Is that right?
This is, this is my 5th, and I think the program's 6th in history.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's no small accomplishment. So I would love to hear from some of the players. We have Lauren with us, and Tyler and Thomas, and it's Thomas's birthday, and Avery. So I'm so glad that you all could be here. This is really special. You all represent the state of Alabama so well. So I want to thank you initially for that. But let's talk a little bit about the national championship. So how did it go? You had a season that was interrupted by COVID, and you were still able to practice and compete at a very high level and go and take the ultimate crown.
Yeah, I mean, I'll turn it over. I mean, I'll let some of the athletes kind of handle that. And just to do a quick introduction, I mean, Lauren, Thomas, Jeremy, and Avery were the team that was at the national championship, and Tyler is my assistant coach, and again, Shelby's the assistant. And so, players chime in. How was the season for you, and what do you give your thoughts?
I can start. I'm Lauren. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm a first-year master's student, but this year College Nationals was really such a competitive time, and I think we could all see, like, we've all been to nationals before. This was my 5th year, and just seeing the growth of the tournament from when I first got to Alabama to now, all the new teams and just the competitive drive and the team camaraderie from all the schools. It really, provided more of a challenge for us. And it was it was such a time that we were so grateful to be a part of. And I loved pushing in that competition alongside my teammates. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Lauren, thank you so much. So how did you personally get from Southern California to Alabama?
I was actually competing in tournaments. I think I met Evan. Is either Kansas or in Baton Rouge, but he kind of put the bug in my ears, like, you should check out Alabama. I was looking at going to University of Arizona, but Evan brought me out for a visit, and I kind of just fell in love with the university and the idea of being a part of a team. And Shelby was a player at that time, so I was excited to play along Shelby's side. So that's really what got me here. And I mean, like I said, the team aspect was something I was really excited about, and I've had the most amazing experience being a part of it. So I'm really thankful for that.
Oh, well, thank you, Lauren. So Evan, that was a good testimony to your team building, and the experience of being part of a team is so huge, and so I couldn't agree more with Lauren there. But tell us a little bit about how you have evolved as far as building your team there at Alabama, and that grew into winning national championships.
I think a lot has changed, honestly, in the last 5 years since we recruited Lauren. She was honestly one of the first, Shelby was the first wheelchair tennis recruit that was coming just to play tennis. We had a couple dual sport athletes beforehand. And then Lauren was the first player I officially recruited. And I think we kind of built something a little special. It's something that I'm familiar with, being a collegiate athlete. Tyler was played on his collegiate team, and something that was an awesome experience for both of us growing up and through college and being a student athlete. it was very small to start, and wheelchair basketball has had that kind of format, but we really hadn't been seeing too much in tennis. Maybe a couple players here and there, two, maybe three on a team. But it was so important to me to create that same team atmosphere that I had in a group, and just a diverse group, and different countries, languages if possible, and just a bigger group. So from from Lauren, since Lauren got here, I think we've evolved a lot, added a lot of new players, and I think that team atmosphere is really one of the best parts. Training with other wheelchair tennis players, which is very rare in the United States, to have a pool of players in your city that are your same age, that are all in school. It's kind of a diamond in the rough. So we're really pleased that we were able to create that at Alabama and bring in some great players. So, but yeah.
No, thank you for that, Evan. So Shelby, being one of the first, or the first, and coming from Hawaii, yeah, you're a long way from home in Tuscaloosa. So as one of the first ones to come through, and then becoming a leader of the program, what has this journey been like for you?
It's been pretty wild, actually. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm kind of like Lauren. We're both from the West Coast, and I didn't know. I knew one person coming here when I decided to transfer schools, but they offered me a scholarship to play tennis, and I just couldn't turn it down. But definitely, Evan and I came in the same year. He started off like what I'm doing now as a volunteer assistant coach, and we just kind of work through some things together of like how to really build up this program, like what kind of tournament schedule should we have, and how do we do some fundraisers, and from there, like, I mean, I could sense his passion. He kind of stepped into the head coaching position by the end of the year, which really motivated me as a player, and it kind of motivated me to become a coach as well. So it really changed the direction of where I wanted to go with my tennis career. But definitely, I've grown so much coming here, and being a part of a team has really been the highlight of my tennis experience.
That is beautiful to hear. So Evan, it sounds like, during the last 5-6 years that you've been there, like you said, a lot has changed. And upcoming changes are very exciting. Y'all are getting a new building. Tell us a little bit about the new project.
Sure. It was about 3 years ago now that there was a big fundraise push, and a dream of the department was reached of having its own adaptive athletics facility. So the Strand Harden Arena was built, and that was massive. It housed basketball, housed tennis, locker rooms, training facilities, everything that other athletes have on campus. So that was a huge milestone, the first one of its kind on a college campus. And then, a couple of years, within the last few years, it was kind of, we already packed the house. We already have all the lockers are filled. Our tennis team has grown. We've had up to 8 players in a single season. And so they kind of quickly realized, hey, if we want to expand and we want to continue to grow as a program, we're going to have to build something for our tennis team. And the tennis courts I'm sure you're familiar with, at the rec center, have no public bathroom. Running water is pretty hard to come by. It's not going to be cold. And so it was time to make that side of the facility accessible. And we started to make a push, and the university got behind it immediately, which is incredible. And so within about 11 to 12 months, we were able to raise $1.5 million with the university support and community and everyone. And so now we're going to have our own facility with locker rooms and coaches' offices and lounges and athletic training. So it's pretty unbelievable that it's actually coming, and I mean, it will be completed, should be completed by the end of the summer. So they're looking to have us in the fall. So it's pretty incredible how fast it's moved, and it will be the first tennis facility built for wheelchair tennis in the United States.
Wow. Okay, that is so cool. So I was already excited about this facility coming, and especially coming so quickly before the end of the year. But to be the first dedicated facility in the United States, I mean, that is even more special. I mean, it's special on its own right. but that's really cool. So, you know, the work that you have all done, the connections you have made in the community, um, this is certainly a tangible um, part of your work and your dedication that you've put in. So congratulations to all of you. So Tyler, I did not know that you are one of the coaches, so it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So talk a little bit about how did this come about that you're one of the coaches now?
Well, actually, Coach Enquist and I have been playing tennis together since we were about 10 years old. We both grew up in Rochester, Minnesota, and as we kind of, I guess, graduated out of playing college tennis, which we did different routes. He kind of walked on to Division I team. I went and played at small Division III school where I knew I could just kind of get on a roster right away. Um, he started more going into the collegiate coaching world, whereas I went more into the teaching pro, working at tennis clubs, different things like that. And we just kind of came full circle back together where as his program was growing and he knew he would need more help with coaching. Kind of just coincidentally, I had worked at a club just a few hours from here, and I was kind of looking to get back to the South and back to the area, and it just kind of all kind of came together at the right time. And so now currently I work with you know uh, the team here at the university, and then also in town I do some teaching over at Tuscaloosa Racket Club as well. And so for me, when I got here, Shelby was a player, Lauren was a player, and then the other people on this call, Jeremy, Thomas, and Avery, were all ones that started once I was already at least volunteering as a coach. And just through the years, my role has grown, and so it's been fun for me to see both the players that were already here kind of just expand their games as the years have gone on, and then with some of the players that have come in, it's been fun to play a role from the start of their careers, and to watch these four compete. Last month Orlando was just incredible.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that. So it's so exciting to, again, we're celebrating tennis month, and so we can celebrate you and how tennis has, in some ways changed the course of your life and your career, and we're glad for it. But I want to talk to a few more of the players. So I see Avery and Thomas and Mr. Boyd. I don't know your first name. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. So I want to hear from you guys a little about your experience as a player and competing and winning a national championship. I mean, that's not a feeling everybody gets.
Or Jeremy, yeah, why don't you guys?
I'll take it. I mean, I wouldn't say we're used to it. I mean, it's not expected or anything. We work for everything that we get. It's not like there was no way we could have just showed up and taken home a national championship, especially not this year because people were out gunning for us. Some of the feelings that I get, or that the first words that come to mind when I think of like my emotions or thoughts after the national championship were just validation, like a reaching a goal that we just had in our mind for like almost now 2 years because we missed last year's, and just excitement for the next year, ready to get started on the next one. Enough is never enough. So it was really just kind of like, wow, it was kind of like a two-edged sword. Like we got the success, but with that success comes like more targets on your back and more expectations, because as soon as you, like, if you continuously succeed, as soon as people are hoping you fall off, but as soon as you fall off, people are like, oh, you weren't that good in the first place. So it's always just a goal to continue to prove people wrong, while also striving to reach our own goals and keep it internal. So a lot of motivation as well as just validation.
Jeremy, that I don't know how you could say that any better. Obviously every time that you're at the top, you're number one, like you said, there's a target on your back. And so you have this feeling of defending and proving, and those can all be motivational factors. But you all are so driven in what you do anyway as student athletes. That's already set apart. Avery or Thomas, how has that drive, changed your experience while you're at the University of Alabama to be a focused scholar athlete that then is now a national champion?
Yeah, for me, coming to the university just gave me so many opportunities and kind of allowed me to focus that drive onto achieving really high academically and athletically. So it was kind of like a perfect situation for me to be able to compete in that way and reach for those things, like reach for those high goals. So then when we talk about winning a national championship, it's just extremely fulfilling, to see all of the work paid off. And especially like this past year where we didn't know, there was so much uncertainty, and every day we were at practice, we were lucky to be there on court, being able to practice together. So it's very fulfilling.
No, thank you, Avery. And Thomas, happy birthday again. So spending this birthday as a national champion, tell us a little bit about your season.
Yeah, so this season we didn't get to play any ITF tournaments, which is what I've usually been playing. So, but our coach Evan, he made it so we would be able to play local tournaments he invited people. So that was really good for all of the team. We got to see good competition. So that kept us ready for the national championship. And this year also, I think was the hardest competition we've ever seen at the national championship, where there's a bunch of quality teams, and there's this one team, Michigan, they brought a bunch of people. So it made the atmosphere amazing. It was one of the top events you would go to, just all their fans and everybody cheering for them and against us. But we also had a good supporting cast, so that made a fun final. And as well, this year I won the singles competition as well, which was a goal of mine since my first one. I got to the final last time, and this time I won it, so that was a good win for me. It was a very tough match. It went to the third set tiebreaker, and both of us were exhausted afterwards because that was the last match of the tournament, and we both played over 10 matches or something.
Wow. So yeah. This was a match against Michigan?
That was the team final, and the singles final was against Jason Keatson from Arizona.
Oh, okay. And this was being played at the national campus, is that right? Down in Orlando?
Yeah.
Okay. So was it late into the night?
No, I believe it was around just afternoon. So
okay.
It was very
nice
hot
and hot. Yeah, nice and hot down there. The humidity is at 100% there. So Evan, going into a match like that, where you have a player who has come close, and it's late in the day and it's hot and it's been a long tournament, how do you as a coach go out there and in this individual sport that tennis is, what do you do? What do you say to Thomas?
I mean, honestly, not a whole lot. We had put in the hours beforehand. I mean, we prepped. We had actually played this individual. We knew he was going to be the toughest competition for Thomas. And Tyler and myself had put in the hours trying to prep Thomas to perform in the team competition, but then also on the side meet his individual goal of finishing number one in collegiate. And so we did a lot of prep. And again, Thomas is the type of player where there wasn't a whole lot of coaching going on in that match. It was mostly he wanted it. He's extremely competitive in the moment, and we were just there to support him and get him through to the end. So I think all that extra work went in on the front end. When you get to the moment, it's on him to perform. And
well, Evan, that is the perfect answer. I mean, from anything in my experience, whether as a player or as a coach, your confidence comes back to the preparation. So it comes back to the work that you've put in. So when you're in that moment, you can't doubt yourself. Your confidence comes back from knowing that you've done everything you can possibly do to prepare for the moment. So that sounds like what you're saying. It sounds like what Thomas played in that match. So I just want to, commend you all for the preparation and the hard work that you put in. And it's no surprise that you're champions, national champions. That's a big deal. So to the coaches, all of you, obviously COVID has presented its own unique challenges. There's not really any sort of experience in the past to draw from as far as global pandemics and things being interrupted. So I know that there must have been more pressure on you all as coaches to lead your team during a time when practices were limited, competition was limited. So how did you keep your players so driven that I know they are personally driven, but to do that preparation that then leads to the championship mindset? I mean, so tell us a little bit about how COVID interrupted what you were doing and how y'all were able to steady the ship and win a national championship.
Like Thomas said, Evan was able to bring in a lot of competitive athletes from outside, but we also had a lot of what we called crimson versus whites. So, I mean, I'm already a chair player, so I got to play Thomas a bunch, but then Tyler and Evan, and they jumped in some chairs. We got some basketball coaches playing some tennis. We just had to get really creative. White came out on top a couple times though. But yeah, it was fun just being really creative and figuring out how to keep on challenging our athletes.
That brings up such a good point, Shelby. I mean, a word I hear over and over as I talk to different folks and their experience with COVID is like the word creative, like you used, or the word pivot. We had to pivot to this. We had to make this change. We had to adjust. We had to get creative. And so I think that it again shows your leadership, that you were open to the idea of, okay, this is where we are. What are we going to do now? And that's part of rising to the challenge. So yeah, I mean, I love what you said, Shelby. Evan, Tyler, if you have more to add, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I think one thing, you said what I guess kind of had to go into more of a pandemic season and challenges that had to go with it. I think a lot of that was what was off court, what we had to do to get cleared to play, what we had to do in terms of taking temperatures, getting tested, how often we get tested, all that. To me, the most normal part of the pandemic was when we actually got to practice and we're just playing tennis. We're
Right.
finally back to doing what we normally do,
Right.
practicing, trying to get better, hitting balls, playing matches, having fun together. So in a way, I think tennis was the most normal part of the pandemic for at least myself. Once we actually got on the court, all this other stuff that actually we had to do to get there, I think was more of the stressful part. But I think for at least myself, I think most players on the team, tennis is a good outlet to actually feel a little bit of normalcy during this past year.
That's such an important point. I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you, because you're so right. I mean, because it seemed like the whole world in a way was upside down with I'm sure you all, classes are canceled or, so many things are canceled. Life is so disrupted. And so to have that space to come practice and do what you love, playing tennis, that's a bright spot for sure. So Evan, taking that into account, it already takes an incredible amount of commitment and discipline for the players to be student athletes and pursue these very lofty goals. Did that change, or was it intensified during the pandemic, or did you feel any difference there as far as leading your team?
I think overall there was, kind of Avery alluded to it, just this massive appreciation that we're out here playing. We look at those schools across the country that either had no classes, so they didn't even have the option to train. Whereas we, fortunately, in Alabama, had the ability to be on court together and also to to COVID test. If we had the resources to test the incoming players, so we could be on court and have competition. So we're just a lot of the stars aligned that we could actually perform and try to perform. And then two is, I think the work ethic of the players and the coaches. I mean, we just put our heads together and said, we're going to get better this season, regardless of the circumstances. And we're going to provide opportunities regardless of the circumstances. And we just did it. We just kind of willed it into existence, and everybody fortunately was able to improve, and not other teams weren't as lucky. They weren't able to get on court and had to be alternative, but we were extremely fortunate.
I think, Jeremy, did you want to speak up to that as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that like the word team and how much like this group of individuals, like you said, it was an individual sport, and yeah, there was individual motivation, but just as a team, we all rallied together. One, to be like Evan said, be thankful for the opportunity that we had to just be able to train and be out there, even if it was in limited capacity. Just being aware that like that's not an opportunity that many people got, but also the fact that we just kept each other accountable. There were no days off. It was, we on that court, we were grinding. Like, you upset? Okay, that's cool. Keep practicing. Go take a second, get it together, but we gonna keep grinding. Like that's like the biggest compliment I can give to all the folks on this call, and even the people that aren't. Like, there's more people on this team.
Right.
Everybody scrapped and worked their butt off in academics and on the court to make sure that we gave our best. And yeah, I'm just proud of the team for that, because that would be able to fight through that like we did.
Jeremy, thank you so much for those words, because having a support system, especially when you're far away from home, as many of you are, and you come and you're part of this team, and you're working, you're sweating it out, you're competing, and then things get thrown out of whack, like COVID, among other things, whether it's injuries or just life. And to have that support system, like you were saying, Jeremy, the people there to lift you back up and to encourage you and be there for you, you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, it is an incredible thing. And I just think that it is also so telling, with you all going to the very top of the sport, that what it boils down to is that you are a team and you are for each other, and you hold each other accountable, like you said. And I mean, that's like a clinic on success right there. So thank you for that. So I want to dial a little bit more into that and say, okay, it could have been easy to not keep working out so hard. It could have been easy to not go to the gym or not sweat it out. Or, we know that student athlete schedules are difficult, because you have the certain times a day that you're going to schedule your classes, and then the chunk of time that you're going to devote to your training and your practices, and then the travel and all of those things that entails. So how do you keep your motivation up when so much was suddenly canceled last season?
Sorry, Jane, was that a question for a coach or for an athlete?
Anybody.
I guess I can kind of speak to that. Getting my master's, it's been a whole different experience, but I think, like people have mentioned before, that this team and the practice that we had on court was kind of an outlet. And so in times where I was feeling at high stress, I could count on my teammates in like tennis and the time that we had on court, knowing that we were very, very fortunate to be out there to kind of like bring me back and to keep me motivated and to keep me pushing in other areas of life. And I don't know, truly this team is a joy to me. So it's like, that makes it really easy to come out on court. Even when we're struggling, like it just makes it so worth it. So it's just, our strength coach likes to say, being where your feet are. And so it's exactly that. It's when you show up on court, you're ready to work with the people that are there. And It's kind of, we build each other up. And so that's what that's meant for me.
Oh, that's awesome, Lauren. Thank you. Evan, coach's perspective.
Yeah, I think I think there were a lot of obstacles. I mean, there was a lot of challenges, and I think the coaches, we got together pretty early on and just decided that we were going to do what it takes. I mean, we all spent hours checking players in before practices, cleaning facilities. I mean, just the extra hours that we needed to do to make the facility safe, clean, and make sure that we could still perform and practice. So we had to just kind of come together and be like, there's a lot of stuff. There's so many external factors this year that could stop us. I went out with COVID for 2 weeks. Some of the other coaches went out, players went out. I mean, us took each other down at times. And so but we had to figure out a way, and I'm super fortunate to have Shelby and Tyler that we could continue on, even if Evan is gone for 2 weeks. And so I think it was, I don't know, we just decided early we were going to make it happen. And again, team effort on the coach side as well.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, I know what discipline and commitment and dedication, we can use as many words as we want, but it takes, under normal circumstances, to have a team, put in the time and the work to achieve, these highest levels of competition. But to be able to overcome obstacles like you're talking about, like putting in extra cleaning or, the extra things to make sure everybody's safe, that just raises the bar even higher. But it's just another testament to how you made it work. You rose to the occasion. So I would love to hear more. Jeremy, I want to hear more from you. I feel like you have more to say.
If I run my mouth this whole time, we'll be here until nighttime. I'll say one more thing and then I'm done. I'm not saying nothing else. Again, like I've already mentioned, there's more people that put work into this than what you see here. Specifically, like we've mentioned our strength coach, like Will Wright. We wouldn't be here without him because he keeps the strength levels where they need to be, explosive levels. He works to make sure we're prepared physically for what we need to do on court. But also another side of that is our sports medicine. Mike Rodriguez and local doctors worked tirelessly to make a plan to make sure we could, on the medical side, even approach this. Right. And without them, we wouldn't have been able to get cleared to play. So I just wanted to shout out like our auxiliary forces, if you will, that have just put hours and hours and hours into making sure we can just get on court. And without them, COVID would have definitely took us all out. So big shout out to them. And you're not getting nothing else from me. That's it.
Well, I appreciate what you've given. Thank you for that. No, that truly is so important to be said, because I don't think people always realize just how much effort it puts in behind the scenes to make it possible for then you as athletes, and all the effort that you're putting in as well, but for it all to coalesce into winning a national championship. But yeah, I mean, it takes so much work from the athletes yourselves and so much from the other dedicated parts of the team to contribute to such a success. So yeah, thank you for that, Jeremy. I won't call you out anymore. But Avery, I'm going to call you out now. So tell us a little bit about your experience.
So just in general, like, coming to Alabama and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last time I spoke, I talked about, finding so many opportunities here. And I kind of took a chance when I was coming to Alabama because I didn't have much of a background in adaptive sports. I just was an athlete in the past and I wanted to be able to compete in wheelchair tennis. And it just worked out really well for me. It ended up being one of the best decisions I ever made coming here. from Tennessee, and I was able to participate in wheelchair tennis and wheelchair basketball, and but just really found a love for tennis. And like I said, since then I've been able to pursue my my athletic goals and my academic goals.
Well, that is so cool to hear. So, what part of Tennessee are you from?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis. Okay. Very nice. So I know that our time is running short. So I just want to make sure, again, just to say thank you for all you're doing, not just for your time today, but for how you represent Alabama and how you make us proud. And we can't thank you enough. And so thank you for taking the time today. And I hope to see you all in person soon. It's been a while. But yeah, Evan, any last parting words? Yeah.
Please, I do. And my big thing is I want a huge thanks to UST Alabama. Your office is so supportive. There's a huge poster of our team on your wall, which I was so excited to see when I was up there. USTA is Southern as well. I'm affiliated on the committee side, but just the overwhelming support they have for wheelchair tennis is incredible. Some of these athletes on this call have gotten a scholarship from them. They're funding our programming, allowing us to do our community work and other things like that, impacting a greater range. So I think just Southern and Alabama specifically, like you all are so great and a reason why we're having success.
Well, thank you, and y'all know I'm a big Alabama fan anyway, so I've got to give you a big roll tide. As we're all good. Can we all do a roll tide together? Is that too corny? I'm a nerd. Can we all go roll? Come on, roll. Roll tide. Y'all are the best. Thank you for humoring me on that. I know I'm a nerd. So enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to talk to you again soon. And again, thank you for your time. Real time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.